Gary's eyes fluttered open to the dim, sterile ceiling lights of the morgue. His limbs felt heavier than lead, confusion sweeping over him like the icy, subterranean chill. The last thing he remembered was stepping into the elevator. The sharp pain in his chest must have carried him unconscious to death. But was he really dead? As he struggled to sit up, the realization gnawed at him. He could move, breathe, feel. Panic surged through his veins, his breaths coming in ragged gasps. The room seemed to tighten around him, and then it happened. A whisper, or perhaps a thought, slicing through the silence. "Help me!" The voice wasn't his. Gary's eyes darted wildly, searching the cold rows of metal drawers that surrounded him. His heart pounded as he scanned the lifeless room, waiting for another sound. He strained his ears, and there it was again, a chorus of faint, disembodied voices crying out from every direction. "Why am I here? Find my killer." It wasn't an accident. Their thoughts flooded his mind, making him clutch his head in agony. With each whisper, fragments of their deaths flashed before his eyes. A drowning, a stabbing, a fatal overdose. He could see their last moments, feel their fear, their pain. The memories were suffocating. He stumbled out of the drawer he'd awoken in and managed to stand, unsteady and shivering. Gary's own fear was fading into the background, replaced by the overwhelming despair of the voices around him. He couldn't block them out, couldn't shut them up. He needed to get out, but something kept him. One voice, the voice of a young woman, became sharper, more desperate. "Please, he's going to kill again." Compelled, Gary followed the echo of her words, shaking hands, pulling open drawers at random until he found her. Her lifeless face stared back at him, lips parted as if frozen in a final plea. He could sense her urgency, her need for justice. A name and a face burned into his mind, her killer. It was as if she'd transferred her vengeance into his very soul. With grim determination, Gary staggered towards the exit, the cacophony of the dead guiding him. The morgue's metal door groaned as he pushed it open, a new purpose erasing his earlier terror. He was more than just a survivor. He was now the voice of the voiceless, a harbinger of retribution. And as he stepped into the night, the whispers grew quiet, replaced by a chilling silence that promised more horrors to come. Gary knew that this was only the beginning. His own death might have been unavoidable, but his afterlife had a terrifying new mission. In the bright city of Neowood, there was no shortage of ways to connect. Among the myriad of digital platforms, one new app seemed to rise above the rest: Soulmatch. It promised to connect users with their true soulmates. Lured by the potential for genuine love, people rushed to join, unaware of the sinister truth behind the glowing screens. Sarah, a young and skeptical journalist, decided to uncover the truth about Soul Match for her column in Neowood Times. With a heavy heart from previous failed relationships, she signed up for the app. Almost immediately, she matched with a man named Evan. His profile seemed too good to be true. Handsome, witty, and shared an uncanny number of interests with her. They began messaging, and Sarah found herself genuinely enchanted by him. His words seemed to weave a spell that she couldn't shake. Her nights grew longer as they exchanged stories, laughter, and dreams. One night, Evan suggested they meet at an old, abandoned park on the outskirts of Neowood. Intrigued by his mysterious choice and driven by her journalist curiosity, Sarah agreed. The park, overgrown with decades of neglect, stood silent under the moonlit sky. As she ventured deeper into its shadows, a chill ran down her spine. Her phone lit up with a message from Evan, guiding her to a crumbling gazebo. There, she saw him, or rather, she saw what was left of him. Evan, pale and ethereal, stood in the dark. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying his faint voice. He revealed the app's horrific secret. It matched living souls with those who had passed on, trapped between realms, yearning for connection. Each user was unwittingly courting ghosts, lost souls desperate to cling to a vestige of life. Terrified, Sarah tried to flee, but the park seemed to ensnare her. The trees twisted and groaned. The earth beneath her feet felt like it was grasping at her ankles. Evan's spirit pleaded for her to stay, to help free him and others like him. She stumbled back, racing towards the park entrance as unnatural shadows closed in around her. Breathing heavily, she managed to escape and drive away. But the horror of that night was far from over. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications from Soul Match, each match more desperate than the last. Ghostly images began to haunt her screen, flashing distorted faces of the deceased. Sarah wrote her expose, warning others of the spectral dangers within the app. But no matter what she did, Soul Match wouldn't leave her alone. Night after night, the spirits reached out to her, their voices growing louder through her phone, seeking release, seeking solace, seeking her. In the end, Sarah's final words in her article echoed a chilling truth. True love might be eternal, but sometimes it's the kind that binds you to the grave.